Inland Empire Gun Owners strives to be the ounce of prevention in the fight for your gun rights. How do they do it? They do it by fundraising and getting local pro-gun candidates elected. Become a member today. Go to iegunowners.com/join and join the growing number of responsibly gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment rights. That's iegunowners.com/join.
So don't forget to go to Gun Owners Radio to get merchandise, all kinds of cool stuff. Join our mail list, our email list, and get some merchandise and wear your Gun Owners Radio logo loud and proud. Also, if you sign up for our email list, you might win something.
We have a winner.
I just got a message. I see that. I just got a message that last week's winner was so excited. He was from Orange County.
Yeah.
Last week's winner was he said Albert Garcia. He won the drawing last week and was so excited because he said he never wins anything. We made his day.
We know
Isn't
somebody.
that nice?
We know somebody just like that.
I know. Well, it's just nice that occasionally we make somebody happy.
And it's even nicer that he responded and said thank you.
It's true.
Or is that a
Well,
reminder? Is that a reminder to send the gift?
No, this was somebody who knows him, was reached out to say thanks.
He's still in
This
shock.
week's winner, I hope I say this name. I'm not going to say this name right. Is it Tisha? That looks right.
Tisha
Russo. Tisha Russo. For joining the email newsletter at gunownersradio.com/subscribe. You are the Gun Owners Radio prize package winner this week. Congratulations. Fantastic job. Don't forget, tomorrow night, San Diego County Gun Owners are having a Christmas party at Valley High. Doors open at 5:30. Everyone's invited. Don't have to RSVP. Free to get in. We'll have some hors d'oeuvres for as long as they last, and then you can purchase. You like my little disclaimer there, Dave?
Yeah, get there before Mike
That's
does.
right. That's right. No complaining. If
You
we're out
and Action Jackson, they'll scarf those things down like.
no coming to a free event and then complaining you
Yeah,
didn't
that
get
you're not
anything.
getting anything for free.
Anyway, we got all kinds of cool giveaways. It'll be a really good time. Really, truly hoping that everybody comes and has a good time. It's probably one of the last Christmas parties of the season, right? I mean, Christmas is like a week away, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Can't believe it.
All right, everybody.
Well, that's with Johnny B.
He's
What is that? That's a bar over in La Mesa.
No, Johnny B's on YouTube. He was going to call in. He's not going to call in, unfortunately. We'll have to talk
And
to him another time.
isn't Mary Davis in the room with us?
Well, that's where we're going. Exactly
But that's
right.
not what it says. It says call in guest.
Well,
Say go out in the hall.
Action Jackson puts again. He's the one that puts the agenda
Does he put
together.
the agenda?
Yes.
Action.
Sometimes I feel like
Have
he's
another
not.
donut hole.
So he does. All right, yeah, good suggestion. Mary Davis, how are you?
I'm doing great. It was good to see you the other night.
It's most nice having you on. You've been on the show before, and you are I think we were describing you earlier as a San Diego County Board of Supervisor watchdog, which I think is I got to say it's so awesome of you to do that.
Yeah.
Did you get a Christmas card from Nathan?
Not yet. I think it's in the mail. No.
I think it is.
So what inspired you to be the thorn, the much needed thorn in their side?
I got originally involved with Reopen San Diego and monitoring, and so that's where it led. They were in charge of the health decisions and the purse strings. But the more I started monitoring and seeing, the more I thought, there's a lot of nonsense that goes on here,
There is a lot of, I think that should be their motto.
Yeah, the chamber of nonsense. But so inconsistencies, and then they justify whatever they want to do. And so when I saw from your email, and I was familiar, they were going to do the listening sessions, which sounds so close to a struggle session, right? But it's a listening session. And so I thought, I got to see what's going on.
Got to go see what's going on
there.
But before so talk about some, and I got to tell you, so the makeup of the board has changed. It was 5 Republicans, I'm making air quotes, 5 Republicans for like 30 years, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I mean it was like the same 5 for a long time. And then now it's 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. They had term limits, which honestly it's a whole other. I'm not a big fan of term limits, but we'll move on. They had term limits. Nathan Fletcher, everybody hates that guy. He's running for state senator. But I got to tell you, it's not like it was a whole lot better a few years ago. It's just a whole lot quieter. No one really paid attention to the county board. but they weren't all that great back when it was 5 Republicans. Pam Slater Price was, I mean, it wasn't that great. I mean, some of them were good. They made some good decisions, but the county board's never really been all that great. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of money. And I think that COVID and the shutdowns kind of put them front and center.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you're right about the money. I mean, it's over a $7 billion budget. I mean, that's a lot of money. And I would like to actually see some audits come in for these programs, because if you just look at the state of California, how I think it was $31 billion for the Employment Development Department, that they've said that's a minimum for fraud, waste, and abuse. Some of it went into these like prison scams and everything. And
They don't do audits.
you know, if we did, and I don't, here's the issue. When you said Democrats, it's much further left than that. It's progressives. So I think we really need to start identifying them as progressive Democrats, because I think there's a lot of independents that could sway the party to move a little bit more centrist into common sense for the public good. And
Yeah, but they're getting away with it, so why move?
yeah, they are getting away
Much
with
as
it.
I hate to say
I
it.
think this will be a wake-up year about the mileage tax, because people think that like it went away. It's just hibernating right now. And that's going to be a big issue for people. They're already taking away your street parking and wanting you on bicycles. And, so now they want to start charging you a local mileage tax, a state mileage tax, and now there's even talk about a national mileage tax. And this is all under the auspices of getting you to, quote, drive less. And so that's what gets me, is like people aren't really awake as to what the real reason, because you could just charge a registration fee, right? There are many ways to get the money back.
But Mary, don't you think the amount of fuel we pay for would be a deterrent to drive slower or less?
I guess at some point, but to me, like, remember at 16, the car, that's freedom, man. I mean, the minute you got those keys, you could go where you want.
Well, my fuel bill last month for me and my wife was $9.72.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I can cut that in half, you don't need to tax my mileage. I would do it if I didn't have things that I have to do. So all they're doing is penalizing you. They're not helping.
No, they're not helping. And so that part of the, how are they going to tax us too? So
Well, how are they going to regulate it? Are they going to come and put a meter on your car?
that's the thing. It's always some nebulous to be determined,
You want
right?
to borrow a Rottweiler that will put it in your car when they come to go to put it in there? Guaranteed it won't happen.
They were looking at what they call smog checks, or self-reporting, but it's actually they call it smart telemetry, and so that they would actually possibly put a tracker in your car or have it,
You know another way they do it? My insurance company, and I have the best agent on the planet. She is an absolute sweetheart. She sends me a text. She goes, "Hey, the 68 Plymouth wagon that's sitting in your front driveway? Well, the state has decided that you went 10,000 miles last year." I said, "I haven't even started it." So they're actually putting mileage into your insurance policy without you knowing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't say or do something
Or speak up.
your rates will go up, and they'll use that as a gauge.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, because what some of the people too, I hope they get a little bit smarter, because some things that are done for our convenience frequently are really for somebody else's benefit.
Yes.
So you're talking about, get that 5% discount on your insurance. Just put this app on your phone. We'll start tracking you.
Oh, and they'll give you $50.
Yeah, or some type of
so
T-shirt or
excited.
something. Yeah, and so it's interesting that people don't realize those apps aren't really for your benefit. For the industry, and you're just kind of being played for a sucker. To put it nicely.
So to be a watchdog, because all this, I mean, people don't know this is going on. They don't know
No.
about the mileage tax. They didn't, the listening sessions, all this other stuff. You know about it. When we get back, I want to talk to you about, how much time do you spend? Like, what do you do to stay connected with the county board? Okay.
Okay, terrific.
And how difficult is it to stay connected?
It's so easy that Alicia can do it with me next time.
Whoa, right on. 2 blondes in the same job. I'm looking forward to that. Hey, a lot of companies are really unhappy with their websites. They look old, they're out of date, and they just aren't getting any customers. Have I got a fix for you? Sage Tree gets it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phone ring. Getting started is super easy. Call 866-728-9100, 866-728-9100, and fix your website today. Was that your choice of songs?
No, it's like some rock and roll Christmas
Yeah, I know.
I like it.
situation.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought for the holiday season.
Good job, Brendan.
Thank you.
It's very nice, Brendan.
My ears are bleeding.
It's better than
Are you kidding me?
Stop it. Hey, and quit blowing your nose.
who invited the Grinch on the show today.
I'm getting ready for next Sunday.
Don't worry. At the end of the remember at the end of the story, his heart grows like 10 times this much. So I believe in you, Dave.
I think tonight Dave's going to get visited by 3 ghosts.
Yeah, I got a sneaky feeling. Are you kidding? Don't even say that.
Maybe those ghosts are friendly, maybe not, or maybe they're Grinchy like the Grinch.
You like the Grinch?
Yes.
I do too.
Which version?
I'm going to get a T-shirt with a great big Grinch guy on it.
Is it gonna have Max on it?
Nope, just a Grinch. You want one?
Maybe.
What do you wear? A size 2 small?
What was it? Men's small.
Men's small? You can't get into a men's. You're in a men's. That's like a car cover. If I order one, I'll get you one too. Oh, and then we'll get Mike one.
I wear a men's medium.
Yes, you do. Extra
Medium.
medium.
All right, so we're talking to Mary. Mary, we were talking about that what a great job you're doing.
It doesn't say
On-
we're talking to her anymore.
On what's that? I know.
It doesn't
We're
say.
skipping that. So we're doing a great job with the county board, and you keeping an eye on the county board, which is awesome. And I know, this is just you're just doing it. You're not getting paid to do this. This isn't your job. You're just doing this because you care.
And are you by yourself doing this, or do you have a team?
I'm pretty much by myself, but it's like this breadcrumb trail. Like when you notice one thing and then it takes you down to another. So now I'm actually even expanded and I'm going to Sandag. And then also I've started dipping into La Mesa and a couple of other places because I see the changes that are coming and I'm trying to alert and wake up the citizens of what's coming their way, whether infill, removal of parking. And my issue is they keep always using the term about regressive. Oh, well, we need the mileage tax because anything else is regressive. And what they don't realize is their infill development is regressive because you don't see the people in Rancho Santa Fe getting their street parking taken away or anything like that. All the negative ramifications come on the back of the masses. And so I'm trying to wake people up to that. And
How do you do that? Like, what's your routine? What do you look at? How do you follow the county board?
So they put out, you can go and find out what their calendar is, and then they will put out their agenda usually 5 days beforehand. They have to legally do it 72 hours. Yeah, so it usually comes out on Thursday, but sometimes they'll do it on a Wednesday. And then they will put a final one on Friday, and then the meeting is on Tuesday. And that's the main meeting. And then they have and I encourage people, start paying attention to the land use meetings on Wednesday, because that's where a lot of the development decisions, like they just, Newland Sierra up in North County, they just took that away.
What is that?
Newland Sierra, it was supposed to be a big development. And that's the other thing, too. These politicians, they talk out of both sides of their mouth because, they celebrate that Newland Sierra, it was a big development that was going to go up in North County, north of Deer Springs Road. And anyway, they ended up not doing it, and they lauded, oh, what a great thing for the environment. It'll reduce sprawl. Well, it's really kind of the golden door and their rich clientele. Again, the price of the masses, we won't have affordable housing, but the golden door will have a nice buffer space as habitat, which is actually a sound barrier to keep their pristine, elite. Yeah.
Wow.
So I
Jerks.
And then they sit there and say, oh, we need affordable housing. Oh, good job. We're not going to build this housing.
That's like the ultimate NIMBY move right there.
And then they
Holy
come to
cow.
Alpine and start building low-income houses without telling us.
Yeah. That was another whole thing, too. And then making the project bigger because
It's
of
like
the
we go,
parameters.
The hell are all those roofs over there? What are they doing? And then you have to physically go dig in, and then it's too late.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, is I call it death by data because people, we don't know
Right.
the information there. They put out, like Sandag will put out these 1,000-page reports, and it's up to you to dig through it and find it. So that's just one way they operate.
So what's something you, and then I want to talk about the listening sessions because you had you were there and have a very unique
And she listened.
and she listened and she was listened to, and I thought you did a great job. What's the most interesting find? Or not necessarily like something you dug up, but what's something you've learned, something you've discovered, something that surprised you?
They will get away with whatever we allow them to get away
Mm-hmm.
with, And so I go back to that October 5th, 21 with the vaccine mandate for new hires. And then I filed a Brown Act complaint, and they actually had to rescind their vote and then re-vote on it. But they do it just to see if anybody was
Is paying attention. And
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah, I am paying attention. But I didn't know at first, and now I'm learning the rules as we go along. But so, for example, in La Mesa, they had an issue where a councilman was going to go on a trip, a very partisan trip, and it was going to be reimbursed. And so I asked for the policy. Where's the policy on that? Well, he was supposed to put in the reimbursement request 3 meetings beforehand. He did it the meeting before. And so I saw a policy violation. And then I also asked them to change their policy because I don't think that the taxpayer should pay for partisan training. If everybody up on that dais of any political persuasion can't go to that training or seminar, then the taxpayer shouldn't pay it. It's more like candidate training.
Wait, this is in La Mesa?
This is the city of La Mesa.
So you look after their city council too?
That's the rabbit, the
Mr.
rabbit hole.
Mr.
Yeah.
Schwartz.
Are you from La Mesa?
I have a P.O. box in La Mesa,
Okay.
and
Right.
I do
I'm just
business
curious.
in La Mesa, and they get federal tax dollars, and I'm a federal
Well,
taxpayer.
so
Hey, La Mesa opened themselves up.
We
La Mesa
have
did open.
to give her a weekly segment.
Yeah, really. So what? Seriously, but I guess my question is La Mesa the only other city you look after, or do you look at other cities? Like, what was your interest
You
in La
don't
Mesa?
have many hours in the day.
Yeah, it's time consuming, but my issue is, I hate the word democracy being weaponized because it means so many things to different people, right?
Right.
But my issue is somebody in Lexington and Concord fought and died on that battlefield. And I'm not going to be asleep at the wheel and
Right.
hand that and let somebody take territory. We need to defend, and our Constitution is precious.
How long you been doing this?
For about now a little over a year.
So now they know you.
They do know me, and I call it lumberjack activism. So the issue, because when I first started, I was a Viking activist, meaning that like axe throwing, I just hurled tyrant bodily autonomy, and nothing really ever changed.
Nope.
And then once I started like looking at the rules and
There you
really
go.
finding what the chinks in the armor were, and I made a lumberjack looks at the tree, knows where to strike, makes that strike, and takes a tree down.
Good
And
for you.
I take a great delight that there's a set of 3 murals in the Board of Supervisors, and one is actually, ironically, somebody cutting a tree down. And I feel like that's a divine intervention, for lumberjack
You should wear
activism.
Levi's, a red and black plaid shirt, and a lumberjack hat. When you come walking in, they go, "Oh, geez, here she is."
No, I actually wear a shirt that says yay on one side and boo on the other because they won't let us clap. They've taken away that right, and that's what I'm talking about, that you can clap at the beginning for their proclamations that they put forth, but when it comes time that they say that clapping is actually disruptive and intimidating and blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
And so I've advocated a long time to try to get them to do responsive clapping is allowed, polite responsive clapping.
Yeah,
They
little-
won't even do that. Yeah,
I'll tell you. Here's like golf claps. Do a little
Yeah,
golf
the
clap.
golf
no,
clap.
just regular clap. Like we can do it at the beginning of the meeting for their dog and pony show, for their proclamations.
Yeah.
If I like what a speaker says, then I should be able to clap.
There you go. So I'll tell you, one of the things
Unbelievable.
I think people would find surprising is Tara Lawson Raymer. She's the supervisor for like Coastal North.
Mhm.
I don't think people realize just how extreme and weird she is. She's bizarre, and she has very extremist views. She has a very odd past, and I don't think people. I don't like Nathan at all. The guy's a jerk. He should be nowhere near power. I don't think people realize he's kind of a buffer between just how weird she is. I think he kind of tamps her down a little bit, not publicly, but I think that, and she's about to be the chair.
No, that's Nora. That's
Oh,
about to
Nora's
be chair.
that's right.
Yeah.
But I think what I was thinking is she's going to probably be the chair for a year, and then Tara's going to be the chair possibly next because she's going to be up for re-election here.
Mhm.
So I'd say within the next 3 or 4 years or whatever, if they go by tradition, she's going to be the chair. And Nathan's so busy running for state senate. What I'm saying is, as much as we all rightfully hate Nathan, we should. He's very hateable. Tara's way worse. way worse fundamentally, philosophically.
She's very much a progressive, and the thing is, though, I don't think she'll ever be chair because you actually have to show up and stay for all the meetings, and she I shouldn't say always because I don't like superlatives, but she frequently leaves early. She frequently arrives late. She teleconferences or she misses the Wednesday meetings. So if somebody was like wanting to look at her just for job performance, I would say pay attention to what she shows up for and what she doesn't show up. My next is going to be a public records request into her attendance for all her subcommittees because I have a feeling that as bad as her attendance record is at the main board, it's going to only be worse for her committee meetings. I know Sandag, she was frequently absent, and she was the assigned representative there.
I wonder what is she doing? That's her friggin' job is to show up. Like, what is she up to?
I don't know. I have some, but I will not bring people's family into politics. So that, I respect that boundary. So,
right.
But that could be an issue.
Kind of family issue?
An excuse anyway.
Right, well, okay. So we ran long because you're such a great guest. So here's what we're going to do. We got to go to a break again, but then we're going to come back and talk about the listening session.
She has to start coming in
all the time,
at least once a month.
There you go.
I mean, because your information, where's your other voice?
I have a website, political911.com.
You have a lot of people on it?
Yeah, probably not. I don't really keep track of the boundaries.
We need to help you.
Because
you cannot do this on your own.
No, I need.
And Michael doesn't do anything during the week. So he could be your driver.
He's at the range.
But if we dress him up like a lumberjack, just think how
that's what I do during the week. I dress up like a
like a lumberjack. Is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's 100 pounds bigger? Well, that's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. To sign up, go to notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County and Inland Empire. Get help today, notmesd.org. All right.
So we're talking to Mary. Fantastic job, Mary. I really, truly, we were talking to you off air, and I can't tell you how much we're all appreciative and respect the work that you do. Thank you very, very much. So you went to the listening session. Had you heard about it? Do you remember when they talked about it on the dais?
Yeah, so it was a June 14th meeting is when they did that. That's the same meeting where they snuck in at the last minute with the amendment for distributors, marketers, and sellers.
Yep, remember
and
that.
this was part of this process, and I mentioned it in my comments, but I'm very familiar with how they operate. They call something a crisis, and then they make a working group or a commission, and usually with stakeholders of their choosing. And I think it's very interesting because for this group, if you look at the stakeholders, there's probably 8 or 10 different groups on here, but I don't see anything that's a pro 2A or gun rights and the other thing, they don't keep DGU, defensive gun use statistics.
Nope.
So tell both sides of the story. The other thing I notice how they operate is how they word the agenda item. So they titled it Stemming the Tide of Gun Violence. So if you are in opposition, you're really pro 2 rights. But if you're in opposition, you're against stemming gun violence?
Yeah.
And so it's like a loaded question. Do you still beat your wife, right?
They know how to write them right.
They absolutely do, but that's part of the strategy. Yeah.
What did you think of the listening session?
I thought it was, very going through the motions. And so I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a Potemkin village, and it's named after a Russian or Crimean officer who was trying to impress Catherine the Great. And so he would set up, she was going down the Dnieper River in the Crimean region in Ukraine. And she ended up going on a barge, and every day he would set up this false village. This is how the story goes. And it was like a storefront, like a Hollywood set. And so you look up there and it looks, and you would have actors, playing villagers. And then the barge would go downstream and dock for the night, and they would disassemble the village and take it further down and, recreate a new village to make it look like a thriving region. And so Potemkin, I call it Potemkin politics. It's a word that means that it's creating something more than it really is.
Interesting.
And so I look at Potemkin politics for democracy. They're giving us this illusion that we're involved. And by that, we let you speak publicly beforehand. By the time we're speaking at the meeting, they've already decided.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So they throw us breadcrumbs of democracy, crumbs that, here, see, we're following the rules. And it's like, but you're not really. You're just giving the appearance of democracy.
And I would change that Potemkin thing to Blazing Saddles. Because they had facade, the same thing. And they'll probably get that. That is just... Well, I think we all know this goes on, but we just haven't brought it to the surface.
No, we haven't brought it to the surface, and that's the thing. They usually will follow the rules to some degree, and then they waver a little bit and see if anybody notices.
Yeah.
And then if somebody notices, that's why,
They
then
pull
they get
back
back in
in.
line. Exactly. They pull back and then, let it go and
So
see.
you're the traffic cop.
I am the traffic cop, the watchdog. I call myself now the constitutional referee because my husband says when people throw the BS flag. So I'm going to throw the flag that you're not following the rules.
Wouldn't that be something if you took it to a meeting and you had a BS flag?
I've actually thought about taking a little customer service bell because they all sit there. I shouldn't say all of them, most of them stare down at their phones the whole time. And this is supposed to be when we the people speak, right? And they stare down at their phones.
Bang!
And say, ding! Customer service. So,
Better yet, attention! Excuse me, put your phones down.
I got to tell you, that is one thing. The five prior, Ron Roberts and all those guys, gave you their undivided attention.
Right.
When you were up there talking,
Because they didn't have cell phones.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Maybe
Maybe that's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
Because I go into other chambers, even Sandag is very respectful. La Mesa I was just at, they all give you their undivided attention. And here's a little activist tip is if somebody does something positive, acknowledge it and thank them for it. So I always start out, thank you for, your respectful paying attention. And the city of San Diego is pretty good, but the Board of Supervisors, they are the most discourteous.
What would you do, or what would they do if you say, excuse me, before I start, could you please all put your phones down?
I've done that many times,
people
and they
have done that,
continue to. And Tara is the worst.
And they just
Tara
ignore
and
you.
Nora's not. So the good thing about Nora becoming the chairperson now is that she's going to have to pay attention the whole meeting.
Tara is
Right.
or Nora is?
I'm sorry, Nora.
Nora's gonna have to pay attention?
Nora's going to have to pay.
You know what I call people who are fans of Tara?
What?
Like people that follow her, got her elected. Terrorists.
Oh.
Right?
You missed your bada bing.
I do the bada bing.
They're terrorists.
Yeah.
So the in the listening session, you were. How do you think it went as far as listening sessions? Do you as predicted, or what do you think?
I think it went as predicted. As I was happy with the turnout, so a lot of kudos for that, for rallying the troops and getting people activated to show up. And I am curious, though, how it will play out, what comments actually will make it into the report, and what is the ratio of those comments, right? And then the other issue with what I've found, they use this data-driven approach. And so as I've started researching, I'm thinking in the tobacco industry, there was a huge thing where they would create these organizations to come up with research that fit their narrative. So I'm kind of curious now that does that conflict of interest for industry-related research carry over to government fund research?
I've only done a little bit of research on the consulting firm that they used, but it was crystal clear that it was extremely biased. And you could even see it. The lady that was passing around the microphone and letting people speak, there were literally 6 anti-gun people to 100 pro, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And when the 6 were speaking, she's nodding her head, in a great kind of subconscious. I don't even think she realized it, but she's kind of, and anybody that disagreed, if they'd go off the obvious narrative that they were trying to push, she's kind of just, it was
Glazed
very
over.
obvious, very obvious.
That's probably why they're going to do an audio record instead of the video record, right? To show everybody's real reaction. Because body language is powerful, and people don't realize the subconscious decisions like that.
And there was all 6. There was a very diverse group of people. And right before the show, I actually interviewed a guy who's a grief counselor. And we met him Rich met him at one of the, I interviewed him for a Magnum episode that'll be out in about a week or two. And Rich met him at one of the listening sessions. He's a grief counselor, came from, bad neighborhood. He's helping his neighborhood. He's, really great guy. Pro-gun. He's a gun owner, pro-Second Amendment. And I don't – the thing that we talked about was if they hadn't made this thing, whatever they're trying to accomplish, they decided to call it gun violence, which we think is because they'll get some grants. Like that'll lead to money, people, that'll will give them money for this. But the problem they're trying to solve, the crime problem they're trying to solve, they could get a lot more support. I mean, they could get 80-90% of people out there to support what they're trying to do if they'd stop with the buzzwords like gun violence and stop being, these divisive, tactics that they're using, which is, really
that's for the left.
It's
that's
really
for their
everybody, left, right, up, down, they all do. Oh, for them, they're like, yeah. Well, it is. No, you're absolutely right. It's for their supporters. And you should have seen some of the folks that showed up on our behalf were familiar. They knew the 6 anti-gun folks. And you should have seen the look on their face like, oh, wait a minute. They're speaking, against, gun bans. It was very, very interesting. I really do. It'll be very interesting to see what their summary is. They're going to do like a summary in January, February, right? And then they're going to make some.
Yeah, there's a timeline, and that's the thing. Like it's this dynamic process. It gives the appearance of listening and taking into concerns from all sides, but it's very one-sided. But
how often do they do it? The listening groups.
I've never actually seen a listening session like this, and that's why I thought it was interesting the way they even
Okay, so this is the last one then, most likely.
This was the last.
Yes.
Yeah, because they won't do this again.
Well, no. You mean listening sessions in general or just on this subject?
Well, even on this subject or in general.
Yeah, so they had 6 of them, and the 6th one was last week, so they won't have any more for this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do you think that they will do this again next year?
No.
Well, maybe on future. I've seen them do. They usually call them town halls.
Yeah, but see, they're starting to fill up with people that are getting involved, and they don't want that.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. I don't know, but they the concept I think is something that they'll do. There's actually there's a guy named Daniel Polk who's a part of it, and he actually encouraged people to reach out to him. If people basically you can still give feedback. So if you didn't want to give information publicly, this guy Daniel Polk will actually take your feedback. We'll see if we can get his information out there. The email for him is on. Hang on one second here.
Can't. We're talking radio. No dead air.
Yep. Okay. We'll keep going on. Keep talking.
Okay. I'll say something real quick. One thing I will tell your listeners: whenever you are corresponding with an agency or government, you always or probably even for this, make sure you're only putting what is comfortable being displayed online. So a lot of times those fields they'll ask for your phone number, your address. You don't have to fill those out, or live at 1234 Main Street like I do. And
I live there too.
Yeah. So the whole point is don't play their game. Don't give up your data. It will become published online most likely,
right.
Or at least subpoenable or through a public records, not even subpoena. Somebody asked for it and they get your info.
So this guy, Daniel Polk, we'll get his information out. Go to gunownersradio.com, sign up for the newsletter. Go to San Diego County Gunowners.com, sign up for our newsletter. If you're a member, you're going to get this information automatically. OrangeCountyGunOwners.com, Inland Empire Gunowners.com. All 4 of these organizations are going to send out Mr. Polk's email so we can flood them with real suggestions. One of the real suggestions that I'm going to push for is if you go to the county for a restraining order, that you get fast-tracked to get a CCW. That's a real preventative measure for gun violence, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway,
I like that.
Yeah, right. So we're gonna see if we can take this negative, turn it into a positive.
Well,
Mary, thank you for everything you're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome
All right,
job.
folks, this is Gun Owners Radio.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.